Hello and welcome to Joy News Prime. We are coming to you live from our studios here at Kukumlemle in Accra. We're live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125 around the world on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo-Brace.
And I'm Faustina Safo. Coming up tonight on Joy News Prime, lawyers for Ken Ofori-Atta challenge special prosecutor to face them in court and stop resorting to unnecessary publicity stunt in his attempt to probe his client for alleged corruption and corruption-related offences.
Like I said, all I expect him to do is to respond to the originating notice of motion so that we meet in court and stop this person. In any event, 2nd June is not today.
We'll bring you details shortly.
As armed illegal miners continue their onslaught on forest reserves and water bodies, Environmental Protection Authority reignite calls for the declaration of state of emergency by President Mahama, insisting it's the only way to curb the crisis.
I will support the fact that the president should declare a state of emergency for the illegal mining activities.
But the burning question remains, when will the government finally repeal LI 2462, the law that flung open the floodgate for mining in forest reserves?
Also in the bulletin, Energy and Green Transition Minister gives firm government commitment to resolving ongoing power crisis in the Ashanti region.
Let me assure the people of Kumasi that that problem has been resolved, and we look forward to a very, very improved delivery of power.
We'll also hear from residents decrying the threat the situation poses to their businesses and appliances.
It's worse in this area. We experience it at least 5 times a day. It flickers on and off within hours.
It's medium the bear 5 times a day.
When the media is silenced, the voiceless suffer the most. In our latest online documentary, Mic On, Barriers Off, we explore what free media means for persons with disabilities.
Defend media freedom.
Defend media freedom.
It's less than central for the Momo by Palm.
Well, lawyers for former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta are challenging the special prosecutor to respond to court processes served on his office seeking an injunction to prevent his reclassification as a wanted person. Mr. Ofori-Atta contends in a suit that the OSP has no basis in law to declare him wanted and wants the High Court to injunct the OSP from ever declaring him as wanted.
Well, in response to this suit, the special prosecutor has threatened to not only redeclare the former finance minister as a wanted man if he fails to show up in person at the agreed date of the 2nd of June for questioning, he will also issue an Interpol red notice and extradite him in Ghana. More on this shortly, but what is the antecedents to this? Kwekwa Santi of our legal desk has details.
On 12th February, Special Prosecutor Kisi Ajebin at a news conference revealed Ken Ofori-Atta, the former finance minister, had become a subject of criminal investigations for corruption and corruption-related offences by his office.
Contractual arrangements between Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited and the Ghana Revenue Authority for the stated objective of the enhancement of revenue assurance in the downstream petroleum sector, upstream petroleum production, and minerals and metals resources value chain. Termination of a distribution, loss reduction, and associated network improvement project contract between the Electricity Company of Ghana Limited and Beijing Xiaocheng Technology BXC. Procurement of contractors and materials and activities and payments in respect of the National Cathedral project. Payments out of and utilization of the tax refund account of Ghana Revenue Authority.
The special prosecutor decision to declare Ken Ofori-Atta wanted stemmed from his belief that the former finance minister had absconded from the country in order not to avail himself for investigations. Lawyers for Ken Ofori-Atta had written to the OSP indicating the former minister had traveled outside the country to seek medical attention. Ken Ofori-Atta himself explained in a statement later that he had sought permission from both the former and current chiefs of staff before traveling out of the country. This matter became a matter of intense debate in Parliament, especially after national security operatives raided the home of the former finance minister. Subsequently, the minority leader, Alexander Fenyomakin, revealed the contents of a letter from Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers to the OSP, in which the former minister had committed to return to the country after May, when his scheduled medical treatment would have concluded. On the receipt of this letter, the special prosecutor removed Ken Ofori-Atta from the list of wanted persons from his website, but demanded a strict adherence to the timeline provided for Ken Ofori-Atta's return to the country. Ken Ofori-Atta has since sued the national security operatives who searched his home and has also filed an action against the OSP for declaring him wanted. Kweku Asante for Joy News.
Well, on your screen now is the response from the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and we'll share that with you now. It says that the OSP acknowledges a lawsuit filed by Kenneth Nanayao Ofori-Atta contesting the OSP's prior declaration that he was a wanted person and a fugitive from justice. Now, it continues to say that, the OSP on this particular letter, Mr. Ofori-Atta formally requested the OSP to remove his name from the OSP's list of wanted persons, with the assurance to the OSP that he would make himself available for questioning on a definite date. The OSP, in good faith and on the basis of Mr. Ofori-Atta's assurance, granted his request and removed his name from the OSP's list of wanted persons, pending his personal attendance at the OSP on the definite date. It continues to say Mr. Ofori-Atta is mandatorily required to appear in person before the OSP on 2nd June 2025. If Mr. Ofori-Atta fails to attend the OSP on the scheduled date, he shall be re-entered on the OSP's list of wanted persons, and the OSP shall consider him a fugitive from justice, whereupon the OSP will cause the issuance of an Interpol red notice in his regard and also cause the initiation of extradition proceedings in any jurisdiction in which he may be found. The OSP remains unwavering in its commitment to enforcing the law and ensuring that Mr. Ofori-Atta answers for his role as a prime suspect in 5 ongoing corruption and corruption-related investigations. Now, it says immediate removal of the photograph. So these are the reliefs sought by Ken Ofori-Atta in that particular suit. It says 1, immediate removal of the photograph and details of the applicant from the wanted list of the website of the OSP. Again, payment of compensations for 1, unlawfully declaring the applicant wanted. 2, unlawful publication on the OSP's website that the applicant is a wanted person. And 3, keeping the applicant's photograph and details on its website as a wanted person, contrary to the content of its letter of 18th February 2025 to the applicant. Now, they are asking the court to direct the OSP to respond by letter, as required by law, to all the letters of the applicant's solicitor that remain outstanding. So there are some letters that they want responses to. They also want the court to direct the OSP to list document that it may require from the applicant for investigations and serve same on the solicitors of the applicant for them to furnish same, pending the return of the applicant into the jurisdiction. So again, they're asking that they are seeking for injunction restraining the Office of the Special Prosecutor from carrying out its threat in the press release issued on 18th of February 2025 of repeating the unlawful re-entering of the applicant's name as a wanted person or declaring him a fugitive from justice. So that's these are the reliefs being sought by the lawyers for Ken Ofori-Atta. Now, a member of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta's legal team, Frank Davis, has criticized the Special Prosecutor Kizzy Jabing for what he describes as, quote, unnecessary publicity stunts, unquote, in his attempt to probe his client for alleged corruption and corruption-related offenses.
As a trained lawyer and occupying such an auspicious office, what he would have done was to respond, but not to engage in these knee-jerk reactions this showboating and unnecessary courting of publicity by doing a presser. Who is telling the OSP that Ken Ofori-Atta is fleeing from prosecution or what? You have agreed on 2nd of June. The 2nd of June is 2 months away. I don't know whether the special prosecutor has turned into a soothsayer or a clairvoyant left.
Our news reaching us here at Joy News that President John Dramani Mahama has appointed some new security chiefs, and it's coming up on your screen shortly as we just run you through some of the key names that have come up so far. And it's interesting because at the helm of affairs, when it comes to security, it's quite key to get the right person to lead the country. And that statement is on your screen shortly.
So now this statement was signed by the spokesperson to the President and Minister for Government Communications, Felix Kwasi. Now he says, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, has made changes in the command of the Ghana Armed Forces. The President has appointed the following as acting service chiefs for the Ghana Armed Forces, pending consultation with the Council of State. 1. Acting Chief of Defense Staff is Brigadier General William Ejapong. Acting Chief of Army Staff, Brigadier General Lawrence Kweku Betanu. Acting Chief of Naval Staff, Commodore Godwin Levenus Blessing. Acting Chief of Air Staff, Air Commodore Eric Ajin Frimpong. And Acting Chief of Staff, Brigadier General Glover Ashong Anan. He said the appointment take effect from March 24, 2025. The President this afternoon met with outgoing service chiefs led by Chief of the Defense Staff, Staff General Thomas Opompepra at the Flagstaff House. Mr. Mahama thanked them for their dedicated service to the nation and assured them of his willingness to rely on their varied experiences and depth of knowledge to reset Ghana.
And that statement there is signed by Felix Kwasi. He's spokesperson to the President and Minister of Communication. Well, in a bold and urgent call, the CEO of the Environmental Protection Agency, Professor Nana Ama Brown-Klutse, has thrown her weight behind demands for a state of emergency, warning that illegal miners are wreaking havoc on the nation's national resources with shocking impunity. Well, her alarm follows a disturbing revelation by the Lands Minister that nearly all of Ghana's forests and water bodies have been overtaken by armed illegal miners. Now, despite 100 arrests last week, the distraction rages on.
Now, speaking on the probe with Carlos Kaloni, Professor Klutse didn't hold back, admitting the EPA and other agencies have been reduced to spectators in this environmental disaster. She warns that without immediate radical intervention, Ghana's water sources and forests could be lost forever.
But I tell you that our capacity cannot meet up this fight. EPA has 777 employees.
Okay.
And looking at the mining site alone, I mean the illegal mining site alone, it's beyond that. We are collaborating with other agencies. So Forestry Commission, for example, they are solely mandated to protect our forests. We have the Minerals Commission we are working with. They also permit the mining for the minerals. Okay. Now it's a national security problem because the Forestry Commission are not even able to enter certain forests in the country because we have people who are mining that are armed. We get our people having the Forestry Commission staff being killed. It's not out there. And the Forestry Commission uses or works with the national security. They work with the military in this kind of fight. And you can see clearly that there are efforts, but it's not meeting up to the illegalities out there. So this is not the fight for any single institution, as I have said.
Okay.
We need the communities to be on board.
She has now backed calls for the declaration of a state of emergency, insisting it might be the only way to get ahead in the illegal mining menace.
Every major river in the country is polluted. So it is a state of emergency for our river bodies. But if in a broader term, looking at this national security threat to our land, to our forests, to our communities, to our staff, to even staff of Forestry Commission, and every other Ghanaian, this is a threat to us. I will support the fact that the president should declare a state of emergency for the illegal mining activities. For me, I will go for that. It can even start small with the water bodies, because that I see as an emergency, the situation that we have to deal with.
Well, Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Abdullahi Jinapor, has assured of the government's commitment to resolve ongoing power outages in the Ashanti region. The Energy Minister, who's currently on a tour of the Ashanti region following recent power outages in the area, has revealed that the challenges is partly resulting from a 750 megawatt load shedding since December 2024.
Barbers, hairdressers and other local businesses have been hardest hit by the erratic power supply in major parts of Kumasi. Angry residents say the lights go out several times in the day. The situation worsened over the weekend.
Hey, I had it. Take a because
it's worse in this area. We experience it at least 5 times a day. It flickers on and off within hours.
It's medium the bear 5 times a day.
As barbers, we come and we are compelled to go back home. It's really affecting our work. The Electricity Company of Ghana, however, insists there is no doomso in Ashanti region. The ECG attributes the power challenge experienced yesterday to jumper faults from the Ghana Grid Company. Public Relations Officer of the Ashanti West Business Unit of the ECG, Benjamin Owusu Entry, says the power distributor is working to restore power supply to the region.
But I think, David, the minister went on to say that we are not shedding load. The supply and demand situation as we speak, everything is okay. So yesterday's issue is what I've attributed to the jumper fault from Gridco. But then the areas that I've mentioned, for example, the Barikati stretch, last week during the heavy downpour, a roofing sheet just interfered with our transmission line around Bremen West. When it happened like that, onto the cable was right onto the conductor was restrung by a cable maintenance team or alliance maintenance team. The customers were off. So those are one-off issues. But yesterday's issue, in fact, actually affected a larger scale of customers. And that is what this morning, as we speak, the Gridco engineers are on site. ACG engineers are also on standby, making sure once Gridco resolve the challenge at their end, we'll be able to restore power supply to our church.
For Joy News, my name is Clinton Yabwa.
We can now hear from the minister, who has been explaining the cause of the power challenge in the region and what government is doing to tackle the situation.
Power supply situation in the Kumasi enclave has been very erratic for several months now. So with the completion of this transformer, we would see a remarkable improvement as far as power delivery is concerned. It is true that the power system we inherited is very fragile and quite weak. Indeed, the records would testify that throughout last year, every month there was load shedding. In fact, as of December, load shedding went as much as 750 megawatts. And so there's a lot of work that ought to be done to stabilize the situation. I'm happy to announce that so far, the supply situation has been stable and we are able to export some excess amount of power. But there's still more work to be done. Beyond generating the power, you have to evacuate it, you have to transmit it, and you have to distribute it. And so we are working around the clock to ensure that we address this challenge and ultimately ensure that we have a very, very reliable supply and delivery of power. Let me commend Gridco for completing this transformer. It's going to play a very, very significant role as far as power delivery is concerned. What we witnessed over the past 2 days has to do with the fact that when you are switching from one transformer to the other, you will have some few challenges. And so let me assure the people of Kumasi that that problem has been resolved. And we look forward to a very, very improved delivery of power.
Well, let's now engage General Manager of Corporate Affairs with WAPCO, Dr. Isaac J. Doku, for more on this talk. I'm grateful to you for joining. Now, we had an indication that you had to curtail gas supply due to debt situations. Has the money been paid, and have you resolved to, supply full gas for us now?
Yeah, good evening. We're still in a mode where we're flowing what we call the firm commitment.
Okay.
Any gas transportation has got a firm volume and interruptible volume. The debt situation did not start now, way from last year, and it's getting to a point where I believe that as a business we had to reduce our exposure. And so way before, this current administration came, we already had in place the restricted flow, even before we started the pigging. So currently we are allowing GNPC to flow their firm capacity, which is about 55 million standard cubic feet. We've had very, very positive engagement with the current administration, and the minister has been very helpful. And so we are very optimistic that soon we'll be able to lift the restriction so that they can flow as much volumes as they need to flow.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, you're not flowing at full capacity now?
As at now, we are not flowing at full capacity, yes.
Is it due to the debt situation, or there are some other factors?
Oh, it's mainly due to, as I said, it's due to the debt situation. But I think that since the current administration came into office, we've had very, very positive engagements. Some monies have come into our account from the various parties that we actually do flow the gas from. And so we're hoping that we want to reduce it to a certain level to minimize our debt exposure so that we can resume full flow.
This flow you're talking about is the flow from the
western
to eastern. Okay.
The reverse flow. Yes,
okay.
Please.
What about flow from Nigeria?
Flow from Nigeria, currently, we're doing as much as what we call nomination. So it depends on how much that the shipper will put into the pipeline. But as I speak now, we don't have any restrictions on the flow from Nigeria.
Thank you for speaking to us here. And that's a corporate affairs manager for WAPCO there. Now,
At least 4 people have been killed in a violent land dispute between Namani and Kumani in the Nanumba South municipality. The clash erupted after a court ruled in favor of Namani in a long-standing land conflict. Tensions escalated when Namani residents attempted to access the land, sparking deadly resistance. Well, the dispute has now evolved into a clan conflict between the Kanyotip and the Sanbiotip clans, raising fears of reprisal attacks. Now, police and military reinforcement have been deployed. The RegSec officials rushing to restore calm. Well, we have been joined now by Stanley Yao Nyandaya. He is MP for Willency. Thank you so much for your time here on Joe News Prime. There are already concerns about reprisals. What are you doing on the ground to ensure this doesn't happen?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but your voice is that low.
I'm hoping you can hear me now. And
yes,
I'm just
finding
out
clearly
what measures are in place to ensure that reprisals do not happen, especially with what we're just learning, that 4 people have been killed already.
Thank you very much. My name is Nyandaya. Nyandaya and not Mandaya. It's Nyandaya. Thank you very much. In fact, I think this problem has hit the heart of this nation. These are people. We can say they are one people. They are not separated. But what has actually happened is as a result of a land dispute I've heard all about. And This morning, when this news got to me, I tried every means to get the security coordinators around to make sure that, calm is restored. I think that from the morning, I started talking to the BNI from the constituency and the district. I also went ahead to talk to Colonel Abakwa, the regional command in the armed forces. I went ahead talking to the minister, the regional minister in charge. I think they all took, some pragmatic steps to make sure that this, this tension is brought to some levels of control. I went ahead to talk to the Interior Minister. I think in the process, I was with him at the time, the new IGP who also called on the same issue. And then the Interior Minister extended the same call to the Regional Minister, Adolf. I think at the time I spoke with Adolf, he had also prepared with his team to move to that area as I speak. I think his influence is that big in that community and in the constituency. I went ahead to talk to the elders from both factions, and I think calm is restoring. We want to really have this thing control, and I know that every effort is put in place. I've been in touch with the police command in the constituency, and I think as we speak currently, they are in dialogue with the community leaders within a place called Malpedo. And at the time I spoke with him, he was actually on his way, but I think he's gotten there. I tried calling him and he's not picking, but I'm sure I spoke with some other two people and they said, they are in a meeting, which I think, of course, it is the same meeting. Thank you.
Do I get a sense that you're increasing police visibility in the area just to ensure that these attacks continue?
Oh, yes. At the time, I spoke with the police command from Wellesley, He told me he was actually with the superior, which were with him, and they were heading towards the community I just mentioned, Malpito. So calm is restoring because I'm also speaking to some leaders around there to really talk to their people and let them see to it that where exactly the issues happened, it should remain there and not to escalate to other places. So I'm sure that these measures we put in place with the security presence there, I'm sure calm will be restored, please.
But first, it's quite curious. I mean, you said you spoke to them earlier in the day. Around the evening and around this time, have you had any feedback from how the situation is on the ground in the community? What is it like?
Yes, please. In fact, as we speak now, I just spoke with one of my leaders who is in another town called Lungi, and that is where I come from. I spoke with him. He's also on the ground talking to my leaders around to make sure that this thing never extends within this evening. What I picked was just that it would not escalate as we see it, the way we are hearing, it won't escalate. In fact, I'm dumbfounded in the situation because I barely, imagine this thing happened in the constituency. I don't think that it's the first time I'm seeing this communities fighting, and that is so unbearable. It's so bad for me. So this evening, a couple of minutes ago, I spoke with the leader, and he said he's also spoken to those people, and there's calm as we speak. Okay. We don't know what would happen in the night, but I tried to get back to the commander, and he's not picking. So I'm sure they are in a meeting. When they are done with the meeting, I'll get in touch with him and really get to know what is happening now. But some few minutes ago, I picked those intelligence. Thank you.
All right. We are grateful to you for sharing those bits with us.
Yeah. Well, that's taking us to a break here.
Yeah, exactly.
News Prime will be right back. Please stay tuned in.
Welcome back from the break. Let's take you back to the developing story, the breaking news we brought to you from the presidency, where the president has made changes to security, to army security chiefs. And we've been joined on the line by a security analyst, Adib Sani, to try and analyze the appointment by the president. Adib, I'm grateful to you for joining us. Now, if you look through the list, what do you make of the appointment by the president there?
Well, I mean, some of us saw it coming. There's been a sweeping change in the various security agencies. Just last week, we saw that of the police, prisons, fire, and of course, immigration. And a lot of people have been wondering whether the military is going to be next. I knew, based on my own analysis of the situation on the ground, that indeed there was likely to be a change within the military hierarchy. But of particular interest to me is the new role assigned to Brigadier General Williams. Surely, when you go through the lists, all of them are persons with exceptional experience in what they do. But, you know, the role of the Chief of Defense Staff, I think, is extremely critical. And, of course, the president would want to engage someone who would be more comfortable with. But that is not the only issue at stake. Perhaps General Pepra would be suitable for a different role altogether. Sometimes we are under the impression that if you are removed from a certain position, it means someone is not comfortable with you or you are not doing the right thing. It always doesn't mean so. Sometimes you are removed because you are doing so well, but there might be another area or place where things aren't actually going right. And so they will wish that you get there and put the place in order. So it is not up to me or anyone to say that General Pepra was not up to the task or anything of that nature. It is within the powers, the constitutional powers of the president to do as he did. And from where I stand, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And it also doesn't mean those removed are going forever. No, they would still be around. I mean, if their successors need any advice or any guidance from them, they should still be willing to work with them, all in the interest of safeguarding the peace and security of the country.
I mean, if you look at the changes, what kind of change do you envisage this will bring to the direction of the army?
Well, already, Ghana's army is one of the most respected institutions. I mean, when people say, oh, Ghana's army is feared, no, I tell them, no, it doesn't mean it's feared. It's only respected, not just within Ghana, but the entire world. I mean, we've played a critical role in bringing peace to so many hotspots around the world. Remember, the first commanding officer of ECOMOG is the late General Arnold Quenu. Ghana played a significant role in protecting thousands of Tutsis during the genocide in 1994. Remember, Romeo Dallaire was a UN forces commander and his deputy was Mr. Anyidohu. Ghana has also played a critical role. As we speak, we have Ghana's military personnel, of course, in hotspots such as Lebanon. So Ghana's military is respected, and I don't think this is going to bring any major shifts, maybe from a wrong direction to a right direction. No, rather, I think it's going to move from 8 perhaps to 9, and nothing significant is really going to change.
Now, just before we let you go, Adib, although the president has the powers to appoint, many argue that this political culture where new management and new governance means new heads of state security apparatus, and the concern that this actually feeds into the politicization of our security agencies. Do you agree?
Well, I don't agree. Even in the most advanced democracies like the US, when a new leader comes, he would want persons he will be more comfortable working with, okay? I have in the past had concerns about the civilianization of the military, where military personnel follow persons such as the EC chair in large numbers, and I felt it was rather too much, okay? But for anyone to think that because of the changes in the hierarchy, we are politicizing the military, I think it is far from the truth. This is not going to change anything. And like I indicated, those removed are not going away forever. They will still be available. They will be assigned perhaps new roles, and they will still be able to contribute based on their years of industrial expertise in safeguarding the peace and security of the country. If it is other issues, such as the recruitment process, in the past, there's been talk about protocol recruitment, which the past administration has denied, notably the former Defense Minister, Dominic Nitiwo. But it is alleged that people are still able to get into the military using those protocol routes, which is usually at the behest of politicians. That is my major issue with politicization of the military rather than the president making his appointments.
Thank you so much for your time here on Joy News Prime.
All right. Now, the Center for Democratic Development is urging the government to do more to ensure full inclusivity for persons with disabilities. Programs Officer at CDD, Sharon Willis Brown Aqua, also condemned the lack of accountability for journalists killed in the line of duty, calling it unacceptable. She insisted justice must be served to protect media freedom and human rights. She was speaking at the back of Joy News' latest online documentary, Mike on Barriers Off, produced by Emmanuel Giveno, highlighting the critical role of a free media in amplifying the voices of persons with disabilities. Here, I accept.
For Moses Adai, life took a sudden and painful turn when a road accident resulted in the amputation of his leg. At just 13 years old, Moses had already undergone several surgeries. His world seemed uncertain, but through the power of the media, Moses found hope.
Even put me accident in impu and central Jumea, I think I meet me out to be crowd who say see and a coso baby see and I see and a easy to see and central Juman dear ooh in Yamfa from my boy pa you put me accident where a number central Juman you so met me and your fee and your store but show me the IBB my pa. Koma Madia, come story in the Kama wanting dia and Kenny. My brother there, me sure saying he beats me akwakuye. Bimpo hospital be money sa a durian quarter do no operation ni eni na CCM so for aye ni na me. And I'm to o man so dia. Na me sure say life pa there so beat me about back to a you say there. Na me sure say meet me like and pepper so am see me nya hoden na me dia nanti ana say meet me anya say na me ni na so buy erade adum dey say there omuba ma asim ni dey say there mama.
When Moses' story was shared in a moving documentary by Seth Kwame Boateng, it reached people who could help. Ekosi Sen Impact Project built and handed over a fully furnished 3-bedroom apartment to the family of the young boy. This impactful project was made possible through the generous contribution of listeners and the significant sponsorship of JL Properties.
nyameti ase omo yes on be yes store no omo amama ni omo kan se on be yes store ama me ho no ma da kope no omo flem se me hye omo junction ne emla ne me hwe ade ampa me ba ya no omo de safo ama me se mimmiye na minim ba bia container no posi me bia ya na niema minim ade a isabio ye ton ana ni pedi na bi nimu na bibia wo muti obi ho no kan esa ma se on be si dan ho ba bia dan na me se dan se de container no omo kan so on be ya ama me a ma kwa chinchina ni wo mochia omo chire bele ko ba chire minim se dan no so omo so omo be si ama me ampa de omo ye container de dan no so omo be si ama ye ne nkula no.
For persons with disabilities, media freedom is not just about information. It is about recognition, inclusion, and the right to be seen, heard, and valued. Together, they can stand as a proof to the power of the media and the importance of defending the freedom that allows their voices to be heard.
Defend media freedom.
Defend media freedom.
Momiamo ensentwe for ho ban yi.
Stress ensentwe for the momo ho ban pa mai.
We need that protection, and we hope we get that. Now we can hear from the program's officer, CDD, Sharon Willis Brown Aqua, as she condemns the lack of accountability for journalists killed on the line of duty, calling it unacceptable.
The government really needs to set up, when it comes to inclusivity in here, the media or media persons do not need to end their lives, get injured just because they are doing their work. It is never done anywhere. It is not acceptable. But we live in a society, unfortunately, where people lose their lives and simple investigations into the loss of their lives are not even investigated. They aren't done. I mean, nobody is championing it. And I mean, suspects always end up going scot-free, even when the evidence is so clear and it's pointing at one or two persons.
Right.
There's no accountability.
Okay.
And we need to set up as a state.
Well, let's do other stories now. The Asantehene Otumfo said Tutu II has added his voice to calls for reforms in the free SHS policy, urging government to allow parents who can afford it to pay for their children's education. Now, while acknowledging the policy's benefits, he warns that challenges like poor feeding are undermining its goal of providing quality education. He made these remarks at a visit during the during a visit, I beg your pardon, by the Education and Ashanti regional ministers to the Menchia Palace.
Free senior high school and passing a year here.
We are indeed rolling out the free SHS, but if we brainstorm and realize students will have to go to school and be asked to return home because there is no food, then it is of no use. Let us take a critical look at it. If some parents can pay, we should allow them. In the past, if you pass your exam, we check up with the BEZA to assist the brilliant but needy students. That's where we had the COCO scholarships.
Well, it's time for me to leave the studio, Joe.
Exactly.
And make way for Becky.
Becky Bex, you know.
As you do.
So like I'm enjoying the company of two beautiful women. So you're going and the one is coming in. Thank you very much.
Bye.
All right, so time for us to do showbiz, and what a way for me to welcome my disturber #1 in the world, Becky Beggs. Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Good to see you.
And I missed you, yeah?
Me too. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Hello.
Hold this for me before I bring the first story. This is 10 Ghana cedis. When I told Jivenu that I wasn't feeling well, he gave me 10 cedis so that I can feel well.
So 10 cedis made you better?
Yeah, I feel a little bit better.
Anyway.
But, I mean, before I come back to my money, let's talk about the Voice of Pentecost, because they took a major step towards its debut album release by hosting a music listening party over the weekend, bringing together key stakeholders in the music industry. Speaking at the event, the General Secretary of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Samuel Joe Obobi, highlighted VOP's entry into the music scene as a strategic move to spread the gospel, aligning with the church's vision.
The Voice of Pentecost, in existence since 2013, is making a bold entry into the music scene, aiming to share its unique sound with the world. As part of operations, the group hosted a music listening party, bringing together key industry stakeholders to provide constructive feedback and help shape the final selection for their debut album. Speaking to Joy News, the General Secretary of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Samuel Jewu Obobi, affirmed that the album launch aligns with the church's vision of spreading the gospel globally.
I also believe that we have this vision, we are possessing the nations for the Lord. And this possessing the nation agenda, one of the things we can do to achieve that is through music. Music is very important. And you realize that where even preaching cannot go, music can go.
The Church of Pentecost National Music Committee Chairman Pastor Emmanuel Opon-Donko also emphasized the significance of the group's decision to create and perform its own gospel music.
Everything must grow. As an organization, it's a living thing. So you move from one stage to another to ensure that what you do is not hidden in the dark. If you are hidden in the dark, nobody will hear you. So you need to bring it into the public space for everybody to get a feel of what you do.
The album features 16 tracks blending contemporary and indigenous gospel sounds, all uniquely composed by the Voice of Church of Pentecost. Mama Visa Fakote's report read to you.
Good move there. I'm sure that the Church of Pentecost, I mean, I think it's a good thing because they have a lot of songs to their credit.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will be monetizing some of the songs that we grew up listening to whilst in church, like, you know.
I remember over the weekend at Winston Amwell's father's funeral. Oh, Jesus Christ. They performed, you know that their thing.
Yeah. Don't say they. I go to Church of Pentecost.
Oh, yeah.
So I can, you know, I would love to sing one of the songs, but
you don't know how to sing.
Oh, I know how to sing. It's just that I don't know which songs to sing right now.
Let's move
but
on.
whilst I wait for that performance, let's talk about the new wine concert because it happened at the weekend with MOG leading the charge at the Church of Pentecost in Bantama. That was where it happened. So we have all the highlights for you here. So there's more on this particular story on myjoyonline.com. Let's talk about TGMAs. Was launched not too long, actually at the weekend, and some of the categories that we should be looking out for, or that a lot of people are looking out for. Is one of them is the best new artist of the year.
Oh, okay.
That's what a lot of people are looking out for. You have all your favorites in there. We don't mention
Grandfather Team Eternity.
Yeah,
really?
Team Eternity is also
and Kwesi Ameuga.
Kwesi Ameuga is in that category as well. We also have the best urban contemporary gospel song. This is actually new. And we have Scott Evans in there, Joe Metal with Give Me Oil. Nanaya, Ofori-Atta. Defe is also in there. Kobe Sam is Cast Your Burden and Dry Bones. Ohima Mercy featuring Kofi Owusu Pepra. Is it Kweku Owusu Pepra? We have Kweku Owusu Pepra here.
Yeah, we have Kweku, but he is Kofi.
Yeah, okay. So there's also Telecel Most Popular Song of the Year. A lot of people are looking forward to this particular category as well. Asylum, Lomo Lomo. We have Pool. We have Asida by Kane Paluta. We have January 9, which is Black Sharif. We have Paris. And very soon,
Peter Eba.
Defe, we just listening to Defe and so
but this is a tight one.
Yeah, so that's why a lot of people are looking. And the artist of the year has generated a lot of talk.
No, but I have my disappointment here.
Well, we can have that conversation. We don't have time. So the Kweku Smoke is in that. Team Eternity is in that category. Joe Metal, Kim Paluta, Ken Promise, Stoneboy, and Black Sherry. People are asking why Kofi Kinata is not in there. Kofi Kinata, you should let us know why you're not in there. Maybe he didn't, fight for that.
Oh, no.
Maybe, just maybe.
Then Kofi should come and tell us.
Well, so we're putting him
because his album.
Brace, I remember the song that I wanted to sing.
Okay.
Do we have time to sing the song?
We don't have the time.
We don't have time to sing.
But this is quite a tight race in there.
Yeah.
You know what? Thank you very much for that.
Anytime. And we're so grateful that you could join us. Welcome back. Should I do the closing remarks?
Well, just remember that at 8:30 we're bringing you the Hotline documentary, Mics On, Barriers Off.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. So log on to myjoyonline.com. There's a little bit of change at the entertainment segment where we have like arts and culture. I love that. You should go and check it out. I love it. I love the song. I forgot the song.
You don't know how to sing.
Jesus. That's a Pentecost song. I'm sure there'll be. Thank you.